What's up, everybody? Nameco and Dustin here. Dustin in our Fantasy Smack Talk FS t-shirt. And I'm rocking a little bit of a throwback now to all of you veterans out there of the show. So in this video, we're going over Deep Sleeper. These are guys who are going to be taken in the later rounds of your draft. You know, not necessarily your last pick because that's supposed to be your kicker, but, you know, the couple rounds prior to that.
Before we get into it, too, you're probably sick of hearing us say it, but we did partner up with Fan Saloon. So be sure to click on fantasy games on our site. We'll also have a link to it on our homepage. But it's a salary cap weekly league. Each week you pick new players. You play up against everyone else in the league, including us and our other FST experts. Winner each week gets one of these fancy t-shirts. So be sure to check it out.
A lot of fun. Highly recommend if you've never done it. All right, we're going to start off with Titus Young of the Detroit Lions. Very potent offense out there. You know, this guy, he was a rookie last year. He played very, very well. All the attention's on Calvin Johnson. We're not too nervous about Nate Burleson. This is the guy that should be the number 2 out there. And we've seen it in the past with like a Fitzgerald Bolden. Sometimes that number 2 really benefits from all of the attention being on that great number 1 receiver.
Tebow. Next guy I'm talking about, Mr. Tim Tebow. New home with the Jets. All right, stay with me here. This is why Tebow's on this list. I was checking around to see about position eligibility. There's a lot of different stuff as far as all the different leagues on how different players can get different position eligibility. Some of it is just very kind of subjective, but there is very much the potential in some leagues of Tim Tebow getting running back eligibility. They're saying he might line up at fullback a lot. So we'll see this year. But if he can get running back eligibility at some point in the season, once you get it, you never lose it for the whole season. Sanchez goes down, or the Tebow chants start going out in the New York Stadium. You could have a Tim Tebow starting for you at quarterback for the Jets, but at running back on your fantasy team. I like that.
Joe Webb, you know, for all those people who played in Yahoo years ago, all over
He
again.
could potentially be a very amazing fantasy player.
Enough Tebow. Yes, deep sleeper. But now we're going to talk about Alshon Jeffery. He's out there with the Chicago Bears. You know, really like Cutler out there because Brandon Marshall's pairing back up with him. And this rookie didn't have the greatest season last year, his junior year, but his sophomore year, he had 88 catches, over 1,500 yards, and 9 TDs. You know, out there with South Carolina. Clearly, this kid's got talent. And again, it's one of those things, just like I was talking about with Titus Young, all the attention's on Marshall. Let's see what this deep threat can do. Love him as a late-round gamble.
Moving on, we got a tight end for you, and that's Jarrett Cook out there with the Titans. Quarterback situation still up in the air, but whoever wins the job out there, we think Cook has an upside with him. 4th year in the league, his numbers have gone up each year so far, and he really does have top 5 tight end potential. If you don't believe me, take a look at his game log and see how he finished his last few games. Pretty impressive. We really like Cook in the later rounds for your tight end.
All right, we're going to be talking about Greg Little of the Cleveland Browns. You know, Little last year proved that he can have good games. Problem was he was dropping the ball so much that it was killing his fantasy stats. He was 2nd in the league in drops, so early reports are saying that he's really worked on his hands and that thing's clearing up. It wasn't a huge issue in college, so we're hoping that it doesn't continue through his NFL career. And also, I don't have any stats for this, but it seemed like he got tackled on the 1-yard line like once a game, which always killed it. I just think there's a lot of potential for Greg Little to have a much, much better year this season.
Next, we got another tight end, and that's Jermaine Gresham for my Bengals. I got high hopes for him this year. You know, I think with Dalton, A.J. Green, you know, that offense is really starting to come together. You know, we'll see if the law firm can help him out at all. Not really necessarily that excited about that, but we'll see. But I like Gresham heading into his 3rd year. You know, he showed improvement last year. I think he's going to have some stellar numbers, and I think he could easily be a top 10 tight end.
All right, I'm going to be talking about Austin Collie. You know, Andrew Luck's clearly the quarterback there now. Reggie Wayne's there. Austin Collie should be the number 2. As long as this guy doesn't get banged up and carted off the field again, you know, he could really be a great outlet for the young quarterback. He's a short route runner, very sure hands. You know, quarterback's best friend. So he's a guy to kind of target really late in your drafts. Could be interesting. Remember what he did in 2010? He was Peyton Manning. But this guy was off to a ridiculous start in 2010. And in 2011 did okay. Just got a little... got hit in the head a couple times.
Moving on, we got a receiver that could have a good year this year. That's Brandon LaFell. He has a big upside. He's out there with the Panthers. You know, Steve Smith, obviously the number 1 guy out there, but he's had some injury stuff in the past. He's getting a little bit older. If he goes down, LaFell could be big. And even if he stays healthy, LaFell looks like he can clearly be that number 2 guy, the number 2 guy that Steve Smith has really never had through his career with the Panthers.
Don't say Mushi Muhammad. He was terrible.
with Cam Newton, hopefully he can have another solid year. We think LaFell definitely improves on his numbers from last year. Heading into his 3rd year, could be a potential breakout guy.
And the last guy I'm going to be talking about is kind of more of a gut call at this point, and you're really going to have to see what he does in the preseason. But if you're drafting really soon, love this guy as your second to last pick. Again, last pick's the kicker. And that's Shane Vereen with the New England Patriots. True, Ridley's out there, but Vereen was actually the second back taken in the 2011 draft, ahead of, DeMarco Murray, Daniel Thomas, big names like that. So, again, Vereen's got the talent, and I just kind of think that, a lot of the early reports is he's working with the first-team reps first with New England. Now, obviously it's New England, so it's crazy out there. But if you're drafting really soon, love him as a late-round pick. If not, definitely keep an eye. OTAs, preseason, training camp, all of those things.
And the last guy I'm going to talk about is the rookie running back for the Rams, and that's Pede. He's going to be the guy I'm drafting with my second to last pick. No faith in Steven Jackson as far as I think this is the year that he finally breaks down. If you checked out our bus show, you would know that. With his Cincinnati, last year was Cincinnati last year. Not necessarily the biggest football school. Big East, not the best conference in the world, but still 1,600 total yards, 15 total touchdowns for Pede last year. He's a talented guy. If Steven Jackson goes down, I think he could step in and be a decent fantasy option.
There it is, deep sleepers. So remember, go ahead, get into those the salary cap leagues, win fancy t-shirts. Ask us any questions in the forums. We're going to have our top 100 cheat sheet back. All of our rankings on the site. So excited football's here. Bye-bye!
You got to pay extra for that.
Sleeve print. There's one here too.